Hey everybody, this is Love and Relo, the voice of the relocation industry. I am your host, Ben Cross, and I am so happy to be here right now with my good friend, Danny Herskowitz, Associate Director, Elliott Scott HR. Danny, what's up, man?
Good, doing well. I'm happy to be here too.
Dude, this is so cool, man. I haven't seen you in a while. Like normally we've seen each other at a couple conferences, recently had a couple scotches or whatever, chopped it up and everything, man. But I feel like I missed you, buddy. I hadn't seen you in a while, man. What you been up to?
I know. Yeah, not too much. Just taking it a day at a time with this whole thing.
I didn't know there was another option. Can we do this like in chunks? Can we get this over fast? Can we go a month at a time until we get to May? I mean,
yeah, that would work for me. But I think the last time we saw each other was in February when I did the show last time, and things were very different back then.
Oh my gosh.
A couple weeks later,
the last time we talked to each other was pre-COVID.
Yeah, it was about, I think, mid-February.
Yeah, and so we did a show, and I remember because you were at like a WeWork.
Yes.
You did a show, you were like at like a WeWork, right? Which is crazy because now I don't even know if WeWork's even in business anymore. I mean, I don't even know if that's a thing anymore. Like seriously.
But we still use one, yeah. There's still WeWorks, but yeah. So we were there, and then I remember that night when I came back from the show, I met my friend for dinner, and he said, "Just get ready. In a couple weeks, everything's shutting down." And I thought he was crazy.
Yeah.
And
right. Yeah, we're all laughing. We're all laughing at the COVID alarmists out there, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, right. Yeah, right. Whatever. And then like a month later, we're like, crap. What do we do? All right, so real quick, everybody's tuning in right now. We got a bunch of people coming on LinkedIn. We got a bunch of people on Facebook, YouTube. That's fantastic, phenomenal, fantastic. Go ahead, hit that like button, throw a little heart out there to, where are you right now, Danny?
New Jersey.
Jersey. I feel like when I talked to you last time, you were in Brooklyn.
Last time I was in New York City. So we had an office in Times Square.
Yeah. Yeah, but weren't you like living with the family in Brooklyn though at that time?
No, we've been in New Jersey.
Oh, really? The whole time?
The whole time, yeah.
Anyway.
Maybe I sound like a guy from Brooklyn.
send the heart out there to Danny in Jersey. He needs all the love. The Jersey people need all the love they can get. Shout out to my Tracy Denora, also from New Jersey Warehousemen's and Moving Association. If she's watching, she's a Jersey girl. We got John Fort here from Southern New Jersey. Good to see you both. Check in on the comments, y'all. Put your name, your company, give somebody a shout out. Spread the love down there. Let's see. We've got Tim Quirk, New Jersey. What exit? He's saying.
What exit? I'm on 208 South off of, I don't know if that makes sense.
Out to me. Oh, guys, Tim Quirk's in Rochester. If you get in the car now, Tim, you'll be there for dinner. All right, buddy? Just Tim's so silly. What exit? Like, hey. Joanna checking in from Sweden. Hey, Joanna, cool. What exit? Jack Jampel, hey, Ben and Danny from Philly. Philly's Jersey's like North Philly, right? Tim Nowak, hey, Ben and Danny, happy Thanksgiving. Greetings from sunny and warm Denver. What up? Let's see. Olivia, hello, gents. Good to see you both. We're going to be talking about jobs. We're going to be talking about relocation careers, global mobility jobs. We're going to be talking about what are people looking for and hiring for? What kind of skills are needed and in demand? I mean, we're going to be talking about all that stuff. Maybe Danny can give me some career advice. I don't even know. So we're going to be talking about all that. If you've got questions about jobs, about careers, leave them in the comments. Danny, one of the cool things about this show, and I'm just going to take a side note to just kind of wander down my own rabbit hole. But one of the cool things about this show is so many people are getting jobs, like watching this show, networking in the comments, networking with guests, whatever. And it's just such like a warm thing in my heart because like Victoria McCullough.
I just saw that this morning, and I was really happy to see that. And that's great. That's awesome.
Molly Feldman. Right down in Jacksonville, got a job.
Oh,
right,
wow.
a couple months ago. There's another announcement that's going to be coming out soon that I can't even talk about. for somebody that got a job, right? That just told me that, so like, it's so cool how this is working. And I'm so happy that you're here because so many people on here need your help. So I want to just get into it here. We got look at Simon Johns. Hi, Ben and Danny from Sterling Lexicon in the UK.
Hey, Simon.
Simon, that sounds like a different gig for you. Cecile, cheers from New York. What up, Cecile? What exit? Valerie McKenzie, looking forward to this convo. What up, Valerie? Oh, this is great. Janet, you didn't hear about Victoria? Yeah, go search her post today. She's working with John Merriweather. Yo, shout out to John Merriweather at Go Destination Services. Just acquired Shamanist Relocation, doing his thing. Hired Victoria McCullough is going to be the managing director of the Dallas office, hot off the presses. So happy for me. Okay.
I hope Victoria doesn't mind me saying this, but she is a perfect example, I think, of somebody that throughout this whole experience has handled her job search like perfectly. Like,
let's talk about that.
Yeah, I thought that was, I hope she's okay with that. But I've watched her throughout the last few months, and it's pretty incredible.
So we have people out there that might be looking for a gig. They might be displaced. They might still have one, but they're looking. So when you talk about handling a job search incredibly, let's go through like some of that. Like, what does that mean? Like, how do you do that?
Yeah, I think one thing I noticed with Victoria, just to use her as an example, right, more like a case study, she really built a brand for herself. I would, come onto my LinkedIn in the morning and see her statuses in the morning, see her posts, and she wasn't out there looking for a job per se or saying that she was looking for a job. She was just putting out content and just showing who she was as a person, being authentic. And I think that's what people want now. And I think that's where it's not just about a resume anymore. It's really about building, it sounds cliche, but building a brand. And I think she's done a really good job at that. For me personally, she's consistently followed up with me and sent me personalized messages. So not just, hey, I'm looking for a job, but hey, this is what I noticed that you did, or I saw you on Ben's show and you guys talked about this. That's to me is exactly, because she wasn't coming in and saying, hey, can I have a job? It was more of, hey, I want to build a relationship, and showing me who she was as a person. Right? I got to just from the few times that we've spoken to each other and just seeing the whole process.
I want to comment on that, right? Because so many people will put these posts out, right? Say, hey, I'm looking for a job, right? That post honestly does not have much value for anybody reading it, to be completely honest. Like, I don't mean to be a jerk about it, but just objectively, that post does not hold value intrinsically for anybody, frankly, but the poster, right? Instead, what I've seen in people like Victoria or Sandra Clary is another phenomenal example of someone who at one point was not, in the workforce and now is in the workforce, and found a phenomenal home at a great company. But she was always putting out this very positive content, this content that people could read no matter what situation they were in, circumstance they were in, and just become uplifted from it, and that positivity, I think when you put that out in the world, it attracts those same types of people to it, and then of course they want to get involved. They want to help, you know what I mean? It's just such a great way to network. I think networking through gratitude and support, just to me is a hot tip for anybody out there.
Yeah, for me, it's, looking at so many resumes every day, just being able to be able to see a person for who they are. And then it's almost like it doesn't even matter about the resume.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, this is awesome. We got people checking in here. If you got any questions about your job search, please leave them. If you got any comments or want to give any shout outs, let us know. Elizabeth Solier from Stamford, Connecticut. What's up? Francine Drusty, I appreciate you. Jack Jampel, exit on the New Jersey Turnpike. Jack, Philly, what exit? Deborah Hanson, I guys checking in from San Diego. Tim Quirk, thanks for understanding. Just because Jack gets you doesn't mean anybody else does, Tim, okay? Appreciate you so much. Love you very much. Ben, isn't Michigan closed? What do you do in the office? Take it up with the governor, man, okay? Listen, I got too many bosses in my life, all right? I don't know. I'm getting mixed signals out here. Janet Turner. I didn't hear about Victoria yet. For sure. Let's see. OMG. It's also Molly and Victoria both found a gig, found new homes at work. Yes, for sure. Cecile's 36 on the LIE. Oh, look at Victoria. Hi, Ben and Danny.
Hey, Victoria, congratulations.
That's fantastic. Sandra, thank you for the kind words, Ben. Thank you for your encouragement in the journey. Sandra, you're the best. I appreciate you. People like the shirt. Thanks, Roshan. I appreciate you very much. Some people don't get it. Some people do. It's for the people that do. Hey, so Danny, let's get into this, man. Let's just hit the ground running. The question everybody's got is, where are the jobs at?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, yeah, it's a good question. There's definitely less of them. You know,
give us like a comparison. You say less, like what does that mean? Like 20% less, 50% less? Like how are we? Here we are, November 19th of 2020. Yeah. Compare this to November of 2019.
Yeah,
give us a feel comparatively.
So to give you an example, you know, just in our own business or my own business, back in March, you know, there was a lot of things to work on, a lot of positions that I was working on and helping people. Very quickly in March, a lot of those jobs were frozen, put on hold. And then I would say, you know, things were pretty quiet, you know, especially within, you know, a lot of my clients were within the relocation management companies. And, you know, unfortunately, they were affected pretty badly by this whole thing. So, you know, as a result,
RMCs have really taken it on the chin.
Yeah.
Honestly, you know, I'm talking to several, you know, owners, CEO level people at RMCs.
Yeah.
And, you know, because they're not diversified like a moving company. Right. We do, you know what? The long distance kind of shut down. The international stopped completely. The long distance kind of slowed to half. Local moves kind of went up for us, you know.
Right.
Corporate moves stopped for a while. Well, COD was super strong, residential, right? And military came on fairly strong, right? So like we have multiple buckets. You know, these RMCs, I mean, they do corporate relocation. You know, they have 2 buckets, you know, domestic or international. And it's hard out there for those guys. Yeah,
and that was the biggest thing. But, you know, one positive thing is there are more jobs out there now. Personally, you know, and just as our company, we actually did an update. Our CEO, Stuart Elliott, did an update, and he basically said that in Q3, we saw a 25% increase in revenue from Q2, which is really good. And personally, in our office, we've had a really big uptick in roles, including with some RMCs as well. So things are coming back, and I think what we're seeing is that, you know, the worst is behind us, hopefully. And it's even though
we're in like a second, or I would even argue a third spike, you know, right now, you feel like the worst is behind us, though. Why is that?
I think the first time, I think people were just, you know, when everything was frozen, especially with the jobs I was working on, I think people were just more in a state of shock and needed to take a pause and reevaluate what was actually going on in the world, where I think now people are working remotely. People have a process for interviewing people remotely and onboarding them remotely. So I think people are just more prepared for that and can make better decisions in terms of hiring.
I want to unpack this with individuals and take people here who are checking in with us here. Elizabeth, I'd love to hear your thoughts on jobs. You know, what you're seeing people hire for, what you're looking for. Janet, I'd love to hear your thoughts as well. Henri, love to hear your thoughts from a French perspective as someone that's working with HR clients out there all the time. Sandra, you've always got phenomenal insight. I'd love to hear that. Victoria, as a person that was out there and kind of beating the street for a while, I'd love to hear your thoughts on what the last 6 months was like. So please go ahead and leave it. So what types of jobs are we talking about, Danny?
Yeah, so you mentioned before, you know, moving and storage, and that's an area that I've started to get more into. yeah, so as a result of everything that happened with the RMCs, I said, let me shift a little bit and see what's going on with some of the moving
I
storage
love that.
companies.
So you decided, okay, so you decided to pivot a little bit in your own kind of strategy, huh?
Right, exactly. And I think the past 8 months, 300,000 New Yorkers have left New York City. And as a result, moving companies just can't keep up with the volume. So a lot of those companies are needing talent right now. And that is a wide range of positions. That could be operations, people in client services, move coordinators, safety. So all
You're
types of
seeing,
positions.
so you're, yeah, and I agree. And there's a lot of like local moving going on in New York
Mm-hmm.
City. Is a very interesting, kind of bubble of its own, right? Where people are leaving and going up to Orange County, New York, or they're going out to Jersey, or they're going out to my
Exactly.
in-laws. They sold their house in Staten Island, they moved to the Poconos, right? Wasn't really COVID related, it's kind of retirement related, but I think a lot of people are making these types of moves. What I would call regional, even though they're interstate moves, they're kind of like regional, where they're still in the same kind of metro or geographic, but they're moving a little bit out. So I see that, but I guess my question is that kind of a temporary need, or do you think that that's going to carry us into 2021, or what are you seeing with that?
Yeah, I think it's definitely was a result of the pandemic. I do think it will carry us. I think people are still going to be continuing to move out of the cities, but then they'll have to move back. So I think we'll see that too.
Oh,
At
so you
some
think they're
point.
coming back in? You think they're coming back to New York?
I think at some point, yeah. I think we'll see that as well in the next couple of years, hopefully. So yeah.
Okay, interesting. So so go back to like specifically what types of jobs you're
Yeah, so some of the jobs I've personally worked on over let's say the past 6 months or so since everything started, a lot of move coordinator positions. So those are a lot, and relocation consultants. Also have been, sales talent is still in
Let's talk about
demand.
specifically, okay? Because we got 45 more minutes here, okay? So let's talk about, we got the move coordinators. Where are these jobs? What types of skills are they looking for? Like, what does a successful candidate look like in some of these roles?
So it's interesting. So some of the companies I'm working with, remote. If they have the experience, if they have, for one company I was working with, they need to have experience with international shipments. If they had that experience, they can work remotely, and they would only hire people that had that experience. But I'm working with another company that is actually hiring people from outside of the industry. So people that have the right personality, attitude, and maybe transferable skills that can do a job like that.
Let me ask you this. This is very interesting, right? Because moving companies tend to hire people with moving experience, right? It's kind of a cannibalistic kind of thing, right? Whereas, sometimes in Relo, you see people come from outside the industry, at least on the sales side. What's making this one client decide to look outside the industry? I find that interesting.
I think what happens is when you're a hiring manager in an area, what happens is you tend to see the same talent pool. So the same people come up frequently. You might already know them, or but then for them, they want to diversify and they want to bring something else in. And this one client that I'm working with, they're realizing that you don't have to be in the industry to be successful in this job. You could do work in hospitality, or you could work in real estate, or different areas where you can take those skills and move them over, or a sales job. So yeah, it's been interesting for me, because previously most of the companies I've worked with were never open to that.
So we got some really great comments coming in. Please leave your questions for Danny. I want to know what your question is about the job market. I want to know what your prediction is as well. Let's see what Victoria's got to say. I've seen a lot of postings lately, hashtag finders keepers, and often see Grable posting, but the majority seems to be overseas. I see less here in the US. Yeah, shout out to Finders Keepers and the people at Heart Relocation for doing that. Miriam and Rob over there. Victoria, why don't you explain to people what that is, Victoria? Throw that in the comments there. I'll get to that. Jack Jampel says job seekers shouldn't get discouraged. Easy for you to say, Jack. Just kidding. Many larger companies hiring freeze right now to get through Q4 as companies try to finish well for stockholders, right? So they want to close the books on 2020 being a good year. Jack, let me know, what do you see, Jack? I mean, you're pretty tapped into talent. What do you see, Jack, as far as your company, for instance, forecasting for requisitions going forward? I'm very, very curious what you're seeing out there. Simon, actually, you know what? Let's go back to Jack just for a second. What's your take on this, Danny? What's your take?
Yeah, I think what everyone's saying is I think people are optimistic about the next Q1, Q2. That's what I'm hearing. Like I said, our CEO, from what looking at the data, looking at the upward trends, we're very optimistically looking at a more favorable Q1 and Q2. And I think that, yes, I think that many companies are on a hiring freeze, like Jack is saying, but I definitely think we're going to have to see a turn at some point. I mean, you have to also think a lot of the people that were laid off, those positions are going to need to be replaced and filled at some point.
How fast? Okay, so let's talk about this for a hot one here. How fast are those jobs going to get refilled, right? Because you have a couple of things that people have done, right? They've done these furloughs, and then they've done these kind of I'm probably using the wrong word, but like wage reduction kind of things, right?
Right.
Yeah. Hit that lamp, man. Let's get some light.
Yeah.
It's cool, man. Yeah, it's cool. People know the deal. Yeah. So they got two things kind of going on, and I think that the furlough, the furlough thing or the layoffs, those are going to have to get replaced. But how quickly is that going to happen? Is that going to be like we're waiting for a vaccine? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I don't think anyone really knows, right? So I think, I think a lot of it's going to have to do with companies being able to plan. So a lot of the clients I speak with, a lot of the issues they have in terms of hiring is being able to plan for the future. I think if people see that there's an end in sight, if there's something that they can predict that their business is going to go to an upward trend, then they can be more comfortable hiring those people. Now, how quickly it's going to happen, I don't know. For me, I hope it's very quick and very fast, but it's hard to say. I think we'll only be able to find out in the next few months.
All right, let's see here. We got some more comments coming in. Simon Johns, in the UK, we are in a second lockdown. Thankfully, certain companies like mine are looking to the future and investing in sales for the future. Yeah, let's talk about this. So I actually put a post out this morning, right? And you were in my thoughts this morning, right? And in this conversation, I want to hear your thoughts about looking to the future, planning ahead, talent strategies. As hiring managers watching this or leaders watching this, what's your advice to us as leaders on how we should approach talent for the future?
I really liked your post. I think you said some really interesting things that, first of all, like talent. I think you said April 2021 to April 2022 is going to be a massive year for people leaving, right? People moving from their jobs. So, and
I was really just trying to pick like a 12-month time frame, honestly. And I was kind of like, I'd love to go to May, but I feel like it started earlier than May 2020. So I was like kind of trying to pick that perfect 12-month window there.
Right.
What did you think about my time frame, first of all, that I picked? Or would you say
I like it. I like it. I think based on, the conversations I've been having internally with the directors, and from what I've been hearing, I think a lot of people are saying that. A lot of people are saying, let's see what happens Q1. And then as we get to, Q2, then we can start to see more of a recovery. And like I was saying before, people making more decisions on hiring and maybe more people being comfortable with actually moving jobs as well. But I think, one thing that you said is change is an opportunity. And I think people will need a change. Ultimately, I think candidates, people looking for jobs, they might be in their job. Like you said, they might be on a lower salary, or they're finally ready. The fear has gone away that they can start looking for a new job, or they can start exploring and seeing what else is out there. If they're currently working in a position right now.
What are you hearing from candidates right now when they come to you and they're talking about looking for a gig? Like, why? What's precipitated? Let's assume these are people that have been displaced. Let's assume these are voluntary people that are voluntarily looking to change, not people that are displaced. Why are they looking?
Right, people that are currently in a job, let's say.
Yes. Currently employed.
Yeah, I think there's still the same reasons that people would leave before the pandemic. It could be that someone, maybe feels underappreciated. They're not being compensated the level that they feel they should be. Maybe they're in a toxic work environment. Maybe they're concerned now. It's shifted a bit because now people are concerned about the stability of their company. So there's a lot of people coming to me and saying, I'm actually nervous because I don't know if my company is going to be able to withstand this. So I need to start looking now. I need to be prepared. So I think it's a lot of the same issues that you've had before. I think there's always going to be that. But I think there's, I think the people that are looking, there's, just the unknown, and maybe they don't have as much confidence in their current employer.
Yeah, I mean, you say kind of a lot of the same, and I mean, yeah, sure, people are always looking for the next thing, and to advance and everything. But like when you say, like, I'm going to challenge you a little bit here, and I want to kind of debate some of these things with you here. So tell me I'm crazy, tell me I'm right. People in the comments, I want to hear your thoughts on this, right? But when you tell me things like they're just looking for more they're looking for more compensation, right? I mean, a lot of people are looking for a new job because they want more compensation. But then when you look at like what companies have had to do in order to make it through COVID, right? And the salary reductions. I mean, I've heard zero reduction more often than not. There's some reduction like in that 10% range. Some I've heard as high as 25%. Obviously commission-based people are even more than that potentially. Partners and organizations could be more than that. Although in finance, I'm hearing it's a very good year for my friends at Goldman Sachs. So I guess my question is, doesn't that become exacerbated? Doesn't that whole I'm looking for more money, like in the past where like maybe 25 to 40% of people were in that bucket, like, hey, I think I should be paid more. Now like 80% are in that bucket because now everybody's taking a pay cut. So even if you were cool with where you were before, maybe you're not cool with that 10% bump down. Yeah,
I think you have both.
Like everybody's in play right now. I feel like all the chess pieces are on the board. Everything's in play. Everybody's like, yeah, I think I could be doing better. And there's just a myriad of reasons. Whereas before, maybe it was 20 to 40% of people actively looking. Of course, I'm just pulling numbers out of my rear end here. But I feel like that's like inverse now, and it's like 60 to 80% of people might be open.
Yeah, I think you're right. But I think a lot of times, and this is a big generalization, but a lot of times when it comes to money, I ask them, and I'll say, so what kind of, what are you looking for? What specifically, how much more money? Or a lot of times it's not always about the money. A lot of times it's about them feeling that they're underappreciated, or they're not being compensated for the amount of work that they're doing. So that's a lot of times the reason behind it. Yes, I mean, now very different. I mean, in what you're saying, that people need money to survive and get by now. And I think a lot of people, of course, I mean, unfortunately have been impacted by this in a very real and terrible way. But I think a lot of the people that I speak with, it's more about being compensated they feel being compensated fairly for the work that they're doing, and they believe that by going somewhere else, they might be able to go to an employer that sees that or appreciates that and will give them what they feel they deserve.
Interesting. So let's see here. We've got, we've got a bunch of people commenting here. I'm actually going to kind of work backwards here a little bit. Cliff Bierman says, joining late, but haven't taken a 100% reduction. I'm just looking for the right opportunity at the right place that values my experience.
That's what I was going to say too. I mean, yeah, I think a lot of people are just, there's also a lot of people that I'm talking to that are appreciative just to have a job, you know, and I feel very fortunate also to be working, you know, during this time. So
yeah, for sure. I hear that, and I agree. Cliff, I'd love to know, give me a top three factors you're looking for in a new employer, just out of, and in fact, anybody that's looking right now that's watching this, throw in a top 3 factors that you are looking for in a prospective employer. Let's just do that real quick here. Gabby's saying Gabby's here. I'm seeing a ton of professionals changing employers. It's remarkable during a pandemic. That's what I'm saying, Gabby. I feel like we are going to be in the largest job change, brackish waters, of fluidity that we've ever seen in the talent market ever, because you have a confluence of the bottom 20% of people just got laid off. Let's just be honest. The top 20% of people are looking, and the people in the middle probably could be persuaded. I feel like everybody, for some reason or another, has a reason that they are probably keeping an eye open right now.
I would say a lot more people are willing to talk to me than before. People
really?
that like
you. I always heard nobody wanted to talk to you before. Is that true?
No, I think, yeah, like you were saying, I think a lot of people are more open. Everyone's open to the conversation.
You're talking about candidates. You're talking about
candidates. Yeah. Open to the conversation.
Yeah, for sure. Whereas before you call them up, they're like, nah, Danny, I'm good. Things are good here. I'm cooking. And now they're like, oh, what you got, Danny? What you got, buddy?
Exactly.
Yeah, for sure. Let's see here. Candidates may also be looking to find an organization that aligns to their own values. Thank you so much, that Roshan. Dude, totally, 100%. 100%. Candidates maybe also looking to find an organization that aligns with their values. That was another point.
And that's what you said, right? That's what you said in your post.
Yeah, because this year, more than any year that I can remember, was a year where more corporations came out and said, I support Black Lives Matter. I support LGBTQ plus rights. I support, I don't know. There's a lot of things that people say I support, right? And companies did that. I mean, the Starbucks of the world, I mean, just companies did that. Like large companies did that. Nike, I mean, just some big companies. And then a lot of companies didn't do that, right? And not doing that, not saying that is also a statement.
Right.
And I think the companies went on the record this year and companies said, this is what I stand for, or maybe I don't care. And I think that employees of those companies took a look at, okay, what's my company's stance on this? What's the culture? What are we saying overtly to the public? What are we saying inside our 4 walls? What are we doing about DE&I? What are we doing about to make people feel comfortable bringing their whole selves to work?
Right.
And so they took stock of that, and then they looked around. They said, well, gosh, Target did this, or gosh, Nike did that. Wouldn't it be cool to work at a company where I felt like 100% welcomed, and I felt like I felt aligned. I felt like I could be my authentic self. I think that this point right here is something nobody's talking about, and I think it's going to be huge.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting because, like even what I was saying before, it's not always. A lot of times, it's really not about the money. It really when you dig deeper with people, it's about their purpose also, and why they show up every day, and do what they do. And I think if you're not buying into that, especially now more than ever, it's going to be a lot harder to retain employees and then recruit new employees as well.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. And I mean, every time we send an email or hand somebody a business card, our name is right there next to our company's name, right? So much of who we are and our personal identity is, frankly, equates to the company, as well, right?
That's
And
right.
like, who are we, and who do we want to be associated with, and what represents us? What brand do we want next to our brand? And I think your A players are thinking like this, to be completely honest, and your, frankly, newer generations that I think feel comfortable or feel, I'm going to use the word entitled, even though it's a hard word, who feel entitled to have an opinion on the opinions of their the company they work for. Please, tell me if I'm crazy out there, please. I would love to hear it. Danny, what are your thoughts on any of this stuff here? Or should we take some more comments?
Yeah, I think you're right. I think previously, you a lot of time, you showed up to a job, you got a paycheck, and it wasn't about the company's mission statement or the values of the company as much. Where that's completely changed, like what you're saying, especially in the past, year, where it's, like I said, I think that's a huge motivation for people to join a company now.
Yeah, for sure. Cliff Bierman says culture, opportunity for growth, compensation, although tempted to say culture. Yeah, it's like that's that old Kanye song, right? Having money's not everything, not having it is. It's like, it's compensation start on the list until you don't have any. And then it's like, okay, well, I guess it's back on the list. Culture is one of those things too, where it's like, oh, culture's not that important until you're like in a toxic culture. And then I think it's everything, right?
And I think what you said in your post too, which something that, I see a lot of, is the work from home now. Where you're saying it's not about work-life balance. They're requiring to work from home. And so many candidates I speak with, they won't even consider a job if the company won't be able to commit to saying, not just saying, hey, you can work from home for the next 6 months and, but we'll actually indefinitely, you can work from home. So that's going to be a really big thing too.
Yeah, I know companies. So I talk to professionals in finance. I mean, bankers, all types, right? Just your like friends and network people, right? And some of them have said, gosh, I've been home for 6 months, or longer. I think if I have to come back in the office, I'm just going to look for another job.
Yeah.
And these are like industries where they weren't really hard hit by COVID. Frankly, there's still a shortage of skilled workers out there in the workforce. Like, I know we think, oh, it's COVID, super high unemployment rates. Everybody's lucky to have a job and take what you get, and let's just get through this. There's a lot of people out there that are like, I'm not just going to take what I get. Like, our company's doing really well and I get a lot of offers. And if they ask me to come back in the office, I think I'm going to have to go someplace that has more flexible work options. Jack Jampel had cited a study that he was hearing about this. Jack, if you're watching, I'd love to hear that. I think it was a KPMG number. But I mean, Danny, what percentage of let me ask you this: what percentage of employees, in your opinion, are looking for work for home options? What percentage of employers do you feel like are offering it?
It's interesting. In the moving and storage industry, I'm finding a lot of these are essential businesses. So they do want the employees in the office or need them in the office. So that industry specifically, I will say, I think they're going to be required to go into the office. I think when you look at the RMCs and some of the other companies, that's going to be a lot more in terms of working from home. I also think that, back to what you were saying before, I think one thing that's interesting is the productivity. A lot more people I'm speaking to say it's not that they even want the work-life balance. They just feel that they're more productive when they're working at home than when they're in the office. So yeah, I think some employers might be conscious of that and say, if we're going to have employees that are more productive, let's have them work from home.
Yesterday, I worked from home. I was sending emails an hour and a half before I normally show up to work.
Right. Exactly.
And my lunch was about an hour shorter than what I normally take. Okay. Because I just walked over to the kitchen, heated up a bowl of soup, ate my soup at my desk, whatever. And it was all good, So, I mean, right there, that's 2.5 hours more productivity that my company got because I was at home.
Do you go into the office or?
Yeah, bro, this is not IKEA, bro. This is like a full cherry credenza right here. This is like that good old school 1990s, you know. This is the real stuff right here, man. That's a real plant too. A lady comes and waters it every 2 weeks. Yeah, it's real stuff, Danny. I don't know what you think, man. No, I'm in the office, bro. We're essential, man.
Right.
It is so critical that I'm here.
Right.
Sending these emails from this IP address. It is so critical. Heather's got a comment here. Hi, Ben and Danny from Michigan. With remote working being the new norm and location not dictating where you work, how does this change things? How are companies looking at things differently when recruiting, when location is removed from the criteria?
I think a couple of things that I was saying before. People do need to be in certain situations for certain jobs, need to be able to be up and running pretty quickly. Because if you're not in the office, just the onboarding process can sometimes be more difficult if you don't have the experience. So what I've found, there's a lot of my companies, they will tell me that if the person isn't having experience and they can't get up to speed quick enough, we can't have them. So I've worked with a few people who, in the beginning, they just were really struggling to keep up with the speed of the company because they weren't even integrated into the culture yet. Not only that, they didn't have someone there with them coaching them. So I think it's going to be, and I think, to what Heather is saying, I think companies are going to have to adjust and be more aware of that. And they already are in terms of, the onboarding remotely.
Jack out here with the dissenting opinion. I love it, Jack. Heather Jameson, I don't believe that companies are still not totally buying into remote working being the new norm. There is so much more the business has to consider than just being able to work from home. I don't believe the companies are still not totally buying. Okay, I don't exactly know which side you're on, but I don't know. I almost thought, I don't know where Jack's coming from here. There's so much more to consider than being able. So, I mean, I guess he's saying like, you want to work from home. That's great. But the business ultimately has to do what's in the best case, with the best interest of the business.
Right. And they will have to find people that are willing to do that.
Jack, are they buying into remote working being the new norm, or are they not totally buying into remote working being the new norm? I want to hear your opinion. He says, for many employees, it would be a challenge for advancement opportunities working remotely. Also, managers need to be trained on managing remote employees. That's like your point right there, right? Like, okay, yes, it sounds great. I hire somebody that lives 500 miles away. How do I train them? Like I think companies, here's another hot take, right? Companies that have actually invested in standardized training programs and formalized training programs, I believe are going to be a lot more successful in the new normal than companies who have kind of winged it. I mean, how many of us have worked at a company where the training program is sit with Susie for a week, then sit with Tommy for a week, then sit with Johnny for a week, and let me know if you got any questions. Like, that is not scalable.
Yeah, I'm working with a company now where they're sitting with the COO every single day, which is someone at that level is literally working with this person 2 to 3 times a day. They're having Zoom video calls, and they've been doing this with this employee for the past couple of weeks. And this person's doing really well, and she said it's the best onboarding experience, and she's never worked remotely. So, it shows that it can be done, but you have to have the right process to do that.
But she's sitting with the COO physically? No,
remotely. Okay. And it's her first time doing that.
So they're like zoomed in together or something?
Zoomed in. And this COO is taking the time out of her day, which not everyone can do. It's not always realistic, but to make sure that they're investing in this employee. So I think there's going to have to be more time spent than there was previously.
I'm fascinated by this idea just for a moment here, right? Imagine a remote workforce. Imagine we're used to sitting in an open concept office, right? Where it's like one huge farm table and there's like 6 of us around it or something. And let's just say that's our pod, right? Do we go into a scenario where we're like on one long conference, like Zoom, like 6-person Zoom, where we're all just like zoomed in with one another and we're like working, but
Right.
like our face is there, like, and we're just like we were sitting around the table virtually. I mean, it's so funny. I feel like everybody that hears that thinks like that is the most annoyingly invasive scenario I could ever conceive. And yet we thought that that was a good idea in person. Like, let's just all sit around a picnic table, our laptops open. But
Right.
we could never Zoom like that and just work. I mean,
Right, exactly.
do you think that that's like a new like that's a new normal thing, like how to manage remote workforces, or is that, what do you think about that?
Yeah, I think, well, that's going to be interesting too, because then there comes the micromanagement piece.
Yeah, 100,000%.
You know, so I had one person that worked remotely a couple of years ago that would tell me that their employer was, you know, when they would leave their computer, they were saying, you know, where are you? And things like that. Like, it's just going to be a big issue also. So people might just say, you know, I'm better off just working in an office where I can just sit at my desk and, you know.
Where if I walk to the coffee pot, you can see I'm at the coffee pot. You don't have to ask me where I went. If I go to the bathroom, you can see.
Exactly. Right.
Ridiculous. Oh my God. Yeah. So funny. We got so many great questions here, but Danny, I want to ask you, what current open requisitions are you looking for right now? Like, what are some of the things? Can you share any of that with us? I don't even know if you're allowed to talk about that stuff, but
yeah, I can. Yeah. Like I said, I've been doing a lot of work within moving and storage.
Let's start with stuff that's good for me first. Let's just.
I got a CEO position.
CEO of a really terrible company that pays a lot. That's what I'm looking for. Real turnaround job, but they're flush in cash. That would be phenomenal for me.
So I'm working on some different positions. So a vice president of operations position with a moving company.
Okay.
Working on a long.
Can we talk about where these are based? Like,
in New York area.
Details you can share that, you know, keep it high level, but whatever details you can share that people in that frame might need to know if they were interested or know somebody. If you know somebody out there, get them connected with Dan.
Sure. Yeah. In the Bronx.
The BX, the Boogie Down. Okay.
Yeah. Looking at
sounds like a tough gig, vice president of operation in the Bronx. I feel like that's like a Jackie Chan movie or something. Like I don't know. I feel like it gets dicey out there in the BX, but okay. All right. I'm sure it's a great company. Okay.
So someone who's doing running a long distance department, to interstate move manager.
Okay.
Safety manager as well.
Safety manager. Okay. Where's that based?
And that's also in the Bronx.
Yep. Okay.
And then also looking at positions for move coordinators.
Oh, nice.
So move coordinators in Boston, and also pretty much, and I would say a lot of roles that I will have coming up are remote move coordinator positions.
Ooh.
So I think that's going to be a relocation consultant and our move coordinators, because a lot of the companies I'm working with will hire someone from an RMC or vice versa. So
is the relocation consultant role a remote job also?
Yes, remote, and then one job in Boston.
Okay. Very cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
Let's see here. We got ask Danny any questions you got here. Let's see. Henri, very astute. Henri, it only took you 9 months to figure that out. Cliff Bierman, hybrid approach, giving people flexibility and holding them accountable for production. Very, very interesting here. Is it Roshan or Roshan?
Yeah. So Rosh is my director at Elliott Scott.
Awesome, Rosh.
So he's talking about our survey that we did, which you can check out, some of the results, with a link there.
What are some of the takeaways from the survey, Danny? Give us kind of tease us here with some interesting takeaways.
Yeah, I mean, one thing we found was that there was a large percentage of employers offering mental health support for their employees, which was really positive. I think it was like 70-80% of employees offering that. So I thought that was really interesting. I mean, it's just showing. And I think back to what you were saying before, I guess it relates to culture. You want to work with a company that is going to value the things that you value and is going to take those things into account. So.
Just play that through for 1 second, right? So you come into the office, your boss says, "Hey, Ben, what's wrong with you?" Say, "Oh gosh, my mom's got an illness, or my kids are, whatever, or just, oh man, I'm so overwhelmed." And your boss can say 2 things. They can say, hey, check that stuff at the door. I don't want to hear about it, right? Or they can say, "Hey, you know what? Why don't you go ahead, take a half day, go talk to somebody.
Right.
Here's a phone number, or here's somebody you can go see." I mean,
yeah.
As an employee, when you're at your most vulnerable, and like your boss could say 1 or 2 things, and like I've said, bosses say both, and I remember both of those people.
Yeah. I spoke to somebody who said that just a boss just taking interest in their life. That simple thing, it makes them want to stay at the company. It makes them not want to leave. So.
Yep, for sure. 100%. Val says, based on everything I've seen in research, it looks like most people prefer the split, some office, some home. She would never go back to an office job. So interesting. I think more people every day are saying exactly what Val's saying.
Yes.
And I think, to Jack's point, companies are going to want people in the office. But when they can't find the people that they want, or they can't find the best people, because Val's a rock star, right? So it's like, hey, you want the rock star at home, or you want the B player in the office? What do you want?
I think some of those people will maybe learn to adjust back. I think it's going to be an adjustment for all of us, even the people that are ready, that want to go back to an office. That's going to be a massive adjustment to go back to that when you've been working remotely. But I think you're right. I think that companies have to be realistic with the fact if they want a certain type of talent, they might not get that if they're not willing to have that person work from home. And maybe even that's just compromising on 3 days a week in the office, 2 days from home. Like you're saying, some type of hybrid schedule. Yeah,
for sure. So Danny, you've been really cool, and you let me just go every which way and down every rabbit hole as I'm supposed to do. And me, I'm a little little ADHD all over the place, man. But what do you want to talk about? What do you think people need to know about what you do, and just about jobs and careers and things?
Yeah. So I mean, what we do is pretty simple in the fact that we work with companies to help them find talent. Our company, Elliott Scott, we do HR recruitment. So we have offices in Hong Kong, Singapore, Brazil, London, and New York. So we do HR recruitment there.
So every aspect of HR. So you focus on global mobility and moving and relocation, but every aspect of HR, your company.
Our company does that, every aspect of HR across all industries. So if people want assistance with that, that's what we do. Or Elliott Scott works with companies. Elliott Scott HR works with companies to help them find HR talent, and works with candidates to help them find new opportunities within HR roles, all types. And then what I do is global mobility, or relocation, or whatever you want to call it. Pretty much any area within relocation. So like I said, pretty simple in terms of the fact that we work with companies to help them find candidates, and we help candidates find new jobs. So I think, it's a lot about having conversations with candidates, understanding what they want. A lot of the things that we're talking about, just trying to dig a bit deeper and understanding their motivations, the types of companies, and we have those relationships with those companies that we could align them with those companies. And yeah.
So if people want to get in touch with you because they have a requirement, or maybe they're looking for their next gig, and I want to get to this question here, how do they get in touch with you, Danny?
Easiest way for me is LinkedIn, Danny Herskowitz. You can also go on our website, ElliottScottHR.com.
Yeah, but you don't want Rosh getting the leads, right? No. They gotta go to Danny, right? They gotta go to Danny.
You can have a few, but
no, Danny's always super responsive, and I always connect Danny with with anybody I know that's looking for an opportunity. Speaking of which, I want to take this question here from Joanna. So Joanna's been patient here. Joanna, I know it's late in Sweden, but thanks for staying up with us. I heard today on another show. Joanna, why are you talking about other shows, Joanna? You running around on me? I heard today on another show, the survey estimates Q2 2021 will be back to normal and more. Postponed relocations from 2020, new initiations, that whole pent-up demand thing probably. Is that something that more companies seem to be estimating and therefore starting to hire for?
It's a good question. I've heard, that's what I heard too, is a lot of the pent-up relocations. I mean, what's the other show? I'd be interested to
hey man, don't ask her. See, Danny, you're not a pot stirrer, man. Don't do it to me, man. Don't do it to me. There's only one show here. Just kidding. No, there's a lot of great content out there. Yeah, I mean, I think 2021 is gonna be super strong. I think you're gonna see all people. I think you're gonna see so many people changing jobs. So many people changing jobs. Whether or not the jobs are out there to catch the people who want to change, I think that's going to lag, right? The supply of jobs,
right?
People, right? I think there's going to be hesitancy to hire as corporations are, seeing the light at the end of the tunnel, but wanting to make sure it's a real light. I remember after the crash of 2008, Detroit started in 2007, people were very hesitant. And so it lasts. The longer the depression lasts or the recession lasts, the more time that people spend being hesitant afterwards, the more they remember it. So I think there's some sort of a ratio of amount of time you're in the crap to the amount of time you're worried about being back in the crap. And so fortunately, this was going to be about a year that it sucked for. And I think it's going to take a few months, to kind of shake that off. 6 months probably shake that off. So maybe Q2 2021, maybe back to normal, maybe Q3. But I do think the vaccine is going to be a major milestone in this. But I think that there's going to be a lot of job changes in the next 12 months. A lot. The last 12 months is going to be characterized by involuntary job changes. The next 12 months is going to be characterized by voluntary job changes. That's what I believe. But it's not about me. I want to talk about Joanna. Joanna says, are there many companies wanting to hire remotely? I don't know, Joanna. I don't know what your deal is, but I know a few months ago we were talking and you were looking for an opportunity. I don't know if you found one or not, but I'm going to assume you haven't. Joanna was in the moving business in Sweden. She's got phenomenal international experience. She is a super person. She has a great just demeanor about her. She networks very well. She's doing all the right things from like her presence and things like that, like we talked about, Danny. What kind of an opportunity can we get for Joanna? What kind of advice can we give to Joanna?
I would say follow in the footsteps of Victoria. What she did, and once I saw that she got the job, I know we're talking a lot about her on this show, but I would follow in her footsteps, really selling herself, and not just like you said before, not just posting, "Hey, I want a job," trying to add value. I think that's the best thing you can do.
So like go on somebody's show and then talk about somebody else's show kind of thing, or what do you like that? Or no, like not that. Henri, okay. Francine knows there's no other shows here, okay. No, but we gotta get Joanna a gig if she's still looking. I don't know if she's not looking. If she's not looking, I'm sorry to your new employer that I'm over here actively trying to place you. But no, like I want to get her an opportunity. You talk about Victoria. Victoria says, considering I hadn't been laid off for 14 years, it was challenging, but I tried to stay positive and prayerful, and it finally came to fruition. Praise God, Victoria. But I was in so many groups with so many kindred individuals, for sure. Yeah, how do we got to get Joanna? She's still okay. She confirmed she's still looking. Okay, so I'm not offended.
Yeah, I think it's for a lot of people, even myself included, it's uncomfortable putting yourself out there sometimes. But I think the more visible you are, and I think we're very fortunate that we have tools like LinkedIn. I think it's great. You don't have to just send a resume now. There's a lot more you can do.
Joanna, I just had a thought. Is Maersk a Swedish company? If so, hit me up and I'm going to make a connection for you, because I believe we have, oh gosh, I forgot their name. Is it Hamish from Maersk in Africa, actually, who's going to be on for Africa Week in 2 weeks. I want to make a connection through Renee Stegman. Shout out to her in Relocation Africa for putting that together December 7th. But we're going to connect you, Joanna. We're going to get you all set up. Thank you for supporting the show. Cliff knows. See, Cliff's a loyal guy. I only have eyes for you. Danish. She said Maersk is Danish. Well, sorry, Joanna. I tried. Danny, I want you to leave us with a final thought, final piece of advice as we are kind of contemplating the jobs and relocation, the jobs in relocation, the careers in relocation. What final thought do you have for us?
Yeah, I would just say that, one thing what's great is really leverage the community, the global mobility community. I don't think there's any other industry like this industry, where I literally am getting from you so many referrals. I get referrals every single day from people. So really that's the most important thing is leveraging the community and really, leaning on those people within the network. And I think that's where you're going to have your best chance of finding those opportunities. And here to help if you need that as well. Yeah,
for sure. This has been great. Thank you, everybody who's gotten into the comments, leaving their comments, leaving their questions. Let's remember to help one another, whether you have a job, whether you don't have a job. We're all in this together, right? This is one community. Forget the other shows. On this show, it's all about helping one another. So let's please do that. I'm so happy for people that have found opportunities through this show. And let's just, I encourage everybody to let's just pay it forward. Right. Love you guys. Thank you so much, Danny, for coming on today.
Thank you. Appreciate it. I appreciate it.
Hey, take care, everybody. I will see you tomorrow, Friday, 4 p.m. Eastern time. And take care and make sure to help one another.